Hey guys! So I decided I wanted to do the Booktube Top Tens tag originated by Old Blues Chapter and Verse. This is one that I heard about through my sister Megan Hannett. She has a channel as well, I'll link it down below. Yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it. Okay, and just for clarification, I'm going to be doing this list in order of which one is most important to me, but also kind of mixing in favorites as well. They are a bit different, but it'll kind of be a combination of the two. So for number 10, we have The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. This is one that I read an abridged version when I was probably about 15 for the first time, and then was able to pick up the full version, and I read it with my cousin Naomi from Naomi's Bookshelf. She also has a channel, I'll link it down below. We read it together about a year or two ago, and as much as I loved the abridged, the full version has a lot more interesting details, and there's one plot line that was way more interesting to me here than it was in the abridged. So yeah. Okay, and for number 9, we have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This is one I picked up about a year or so ago, and I've never really been huge into this genre of classic literature. I do like it. I don't have any problems with it, but I never really got into it apart from Pride and Prejudice. And this one really, really sucked me into the whole, style of just following one single protagonist in this time era. I mean, admittedly, this is very, very different from Pride and Prejudice. This is more gothic, but I don't know, I just found I liked it better. And for number 8, we have Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. This is one that I read my first year of Bible college, so I was like 18. And I had just finished playing the role of Peter Pan, actually, in a kind of modernized high school version of it, so I was really interested in it. I had seen both the original animated movie and the early 2000s live action movie, and then, I enjoyed it, but then I read the book and holy crap, this is so much better, which shouldn't really be surprising, but Okay, and for number 7, we have Henry V by William Shakespeare. This one kind of goes back and forth with another play from my favorite Shakespeare play, so yeah, spoiler alert, that one's later on in this list too. But the thing that I love about this character is, this play, but realistically the character of Henry V, is you get to see how he, as a character, changes and develops over the course of the play. Especially if you've read the earlier plays, Henry IV parts 1 and 2, you really, really get a sense of just how far this character has come. And also everyone underestimates him all the time, and he gets to prove them wrong. So next up, we've got Artemis Fowl, the whole series, but I'm showing the first book just because it's my favorite of the bunch, and also, first book. This one, I'm kind of surprised it managed to wedge itself in, just above Henry V, but when I was really thinking about it, I do actually like this book more. It really, really goes into all these interesting details about how this whole fairy tale world would work if it actually existed for thousands of years and was still present in the modern day. So yeah, Artemis Fowl comes in near the middle of my list. In spot number 5, we have Hamlet by William Shakespeare. This one just edges out Henry V most of the time, but they do occasionally switch places. I think the main reason why I tend to like it a little bit more is because it's so philosophical, but it really, really delves into the main character, which I love. Incidentally, if you're wanting to find a good movie version, if you have a chance to see the Benedict Cumberbatch version, watch it, it's amazing. And at number 4, we have the Percy Jackson series. I don't have the first book with me right now, it's currently loaned out, but I do have book 4 with me, so I'm going to use it for right now for the purpose of talking about this series. This series is so fascinating because it's such a complicated world and has such wonderful characters. It is probably the best example I've ever seen of retelling or kind of reintroducing a classical genre or set of stories to a modern audience. So yeah, Percy Jackson, amazing. And now number 3. So for number 3, we have the entire Chronicles of Narnia series. This is one that has been in my life since I was probably a toddler. I don't actually really remember being introduced to it, but it is amazing. It's probably it's the best allegory I've ever read, definitely, and just the overall story is just wonderful. Now getting into the top tier. Well, that was the top tier, I guess, whatever. Number 2, we've got The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This one is one I was introduced to much later than the Chronicles of Narnia, but I kind of think of them as a family of stories, mostly because of the association between Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, even though they are very much different worlds. But I do tend to like this one a bit more just because I love the whole world of Middle-earth. Also, Bilbo is my favorite character. So yeah, I do love Lord of the Rings as well, but I personally like The Hobbit a bit better just in terms of how it's structured as an individual book. And for number 1, we have the Book of Luke from the Bible. Now, I had to kind of pick through and decide which one I was going to do for which book of the Bible, and I chose Luke because due to some stuff I heard from Focus on the Family, I tend to find the actual person of Luke very, very fascinating, and the way he tells the story of Jesus is really interesting. He really delves into what Jesus' life as a person would have been like in addition to being the Son of God. You also hear more about kind of his birth with Mary and all that kind of thing in this than you do in some of the other Gospels as well, as much as the others are also wonderful. So yeah, if you guys have any questions for me regarding any of my choices for this list, feel free to ask down below. I will answer all the questions as best I can. And if you want to do this tag, then I tag you. Let me know you've done it. I would love to watch your videos. Thanks guys. Have a lovely day. I will see you later.